At Google I/O, there were a ton of announcements, but the one that really stood out to me was the release of Veo 3, Google's latest AI video model. It's the first time since the original Sora launch that something in AI video has truly felt next level. A lot of the demos have already gone viral, and for good reason. Veo can generate video, sound effects, music, and dialogue all at once in a single coherent output.
We can talk.
No more silence.
Yes, we can talk. I can talk.
And the best part is it's live right now. I've been testing it since launch, and there's a lot to break down. A portion of this video was sponsored by HubSpot. Definitely the biggest upgrade in Veo 3 is that it doesn't just generate video, it does sound effects, music, and fully lip-synced dialogue all in one pass. The most important of those is dialogue. Here's one that I had to rewatch a few times when I first saw it to believe it was AI generated. We're officially to that point now.
I'm Isaac Newton. I'm here to say gravity's the force that makes things sway.
And that also showcases an interesting feature of this. You don't have to prompt every part of it yourself. Veo can fill in a lot of the gaps. The prompt for that was simply Isaac Newton rapping about gravity. Street interviews are another area that showcases how good this has gotten.
What's one move with AI that makes haters go crazy every time?
Oh, y'all gotta give them that. This is wild. It's over. We are cooked on that thread. You get me?
This is a huge leap. Yes, we have had lip syncing before, but syncing facial expressions and body language to that dialogue, that's been a real pain point until now. That said, there are some quirks that show up in real world use. I'll break those down in a bit, but first, let's take a quick look at the platform itself and how to actually use it. The Veo 3 is part of Google's new filmmaking platform called Flow. The platform combines Veo, the image generator Imagine, and Gemini into one creative suite. You can generate videos using text to video and image to video. There's also a tool called Ingredients where you can upload individual characters, objects, or scenes and use them as modular building blocks across multiple generations. Once you've got a clip, Flow gives you tools to go further like Extend, which lets you lengthen a video, and Jump to, which creates new scenes based on what you've just made. Now, there are some features that aren't rolled out yet and some current limitations. Again, I'll get to those in a minute. Like I mentioned earlier, the biggest upgrade in Veo 3 is the dialogue generation. So I spent most of my time testing that and seeing how far and weird it could be pushed. Again, you can just give it a vague prompt and let Veo handle the rest. That's what I did for a lot of these, but you can also specify the exact dialogue and emotions you want it delivered in. I'll show examples of both. Now, one of the more viral examples was a stand-up comedian telling a joke.
I went to a seafood disco last week and pulled a mussel.
That was my version. The one from FOFR making the rounds had a better punchline.
So I went to the zoo the other day, and all they had was one dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Though, let's be honest, most of these lean heavily into dad joke territory. Now, I also tried a bunch of other scenarios to push this further. We'll ramp up throughout these. So a little more emotive was some slam poetry.
I was born into the heart of a text prompt, a character sketched by digital desire, a fleeting whim brought to life.
That one was super solid. Also got an activist speaking at an event.
We are here today because we believe in the power of collective change.
And adding a little motion with someone walking and talking.
It was bigger than any plane, and it didn't make a sound when it landed.
We've got a cooking tutorial.
You want to be stirring constantly, making sure that the rice doesn't stick to the bottom.
And for this one, the prompt was a wizard hyping himself up in the mirror before a quest.
By the sacred light, I shall overcome.
Right. That's pretty good. I had to run a few travel vlogs, tech demos, even Bigfoot reviewing hiking shoes.
This rugged outsole and breathable mesh make this a solid choice for any hiker.
There was another IP test with this one.
Oh my goodness!
It does a super good job at recreating gameplay of a lot of different games. Then I had to see if it can take my job just from a prompt.
When you start a conversation with ChatGPT, think about the persona or character you want it to take.
Not quite there yet with that. I tried out a non-human character with this podcast as well.
You know, the history and cultivation of potatoes is really quite fascinating.
Oh, that one's got like the perfect awkward pause at the end. Like it's super fascinating, and then he runs out of things to say. But those awkward pauses do pop up quite a bit with these.
Now I make videos using VO3, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Here's one where I started testing out multiple characters.
I can't believe how long it's been.
Yes, and so much has changed.
It's like they just found bad actors for this. I write a lot of my video prompts using a custom GPT I built specifically for prompt enhancement, and building that required going deep into how prompt engineering actually works. If you're trying to get more consistent results from AI, whether you're writing, coding, or building your own tools, understanding how to structure your prompts is everything. So I have a free resource provided by HubSpot linked below that teaches exactly that. It's called Advanced ChatGPT Prompt Engineering. From basic to expert in 7 days. This guide isn't just a list of prompts, it's a full framework to transform how you think and work with AI. One of my favorite sections is on the ROSES framework, which shows you how to engineer prompts using role, objective, scenario, expected solution, and steps. It's incredibly useful for structured outputs. There's also a great deep dive into modular prompt systems, basically how to build prompt components you can reuse across projects, which is something I've been experimenting with lately. I do use these techniques all the time for things like building the GPT I mentioned. And if you've ever wanted to go from, I hope ChatGPT gets it right, to I built a prompt system that delivers every time, this is exactly what you need. But download it for free using the link in the description, and thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring this video and sharing these kinds of resources with the people who watch this channel. Most of this has been pretty simple types of speech so far, so let's start to add in multiple characters and emotion.
It wasn't an accident. I made a mistake that night.
What was it, Mary? What did you see?
It was this blue creature with crazed, bulging eyes.
How was your date last night?
I don't want to talk about it.
Get the wine, we are going to talk about it.
Some of the street interviews that people have been putting out have just looked amazing.
Honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts? Wake up, man.
I tried to do some where the prompt was about a guy who saw some aliens land. I don't know why, but every time it generated him with these eyes crazy wide open.
It was just this huge, like a spacecraft, and it landed just down the street.
It was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was just hovering right there.
I saw it land in the field. These figures, tall, glowing.
Yeah, I don't know why it was interpreting that prompt that way. This is not perfect. You can get some incredible stuff, but you'll also get some weird ones. And here's a couple solid community examples of some people rapping.
Cheddar, Swiss, Gouda, Brie, they can all agree. Cheese is the best thing for you and for me.
Space has got perils, unknown dangers, better beware. My line of work, potential for disaster, gotta take care.
From quasars' light, a cosmic dance we weave, in spiral arms where galaxies conceive. We search the core of black.
Now let's add in some melody. Here's a saxophone solo. Or a frog playing the banjo.
Got a bug in my throat, a tear in my eye, singing about a love that done hopped on by.
All right, I'll just run through a couple other types of music with a full band here.
Oh yeah.
You said forever, and I believed you. Now forever.
Garlic bread, my heart's true desire. With every bite, my soul. We will fight for you, fight for us.
And the ability to generate dialogue and audio simultaneously is a huge leap. Honestly, now that it's out, every other model is going to need to step up. Like, this feels like the new baseline. But beyond that, one of the unexpected benefits of the audio generation is it's hilarious when it messes up. Like, I already showed a couple of those weird, awkward pauses. It does that a lot of the time.
You want to be stirring constantly, making sure that the rice doesn't stick to the bottom.
Usually it's at the end, like it'll do everything right at the beginning, but they're all 8-second clips. So it's like it just runs out of things to say.
It's so beautiful, like a work of art in your hands.
But it'll do other weird things sometimes. Like I really like this one with the T-Rex playing guitar.
Strums. Strums guitar.
It's like it was reading off the cues of what it should do instead of actually doing those actions. And combine those sounds with some classic bad physics and a complex scene prompt, and it only gets better.
Next time, I'm taking the front door.
Honestly, every outtake from this chase scene was gold.
Next time. I'm taking the front door.
And there's a few other consistent issues as well. Sometimes it likes to add its own subtitles, and half the time they don't even match what's being said. That is super annoying.
These are quite robust, a good choice for rough terrain, but perhaps not the most breathable option for longer trips.
One more was it was randomly switched to VO2 a few times without me noticing, so I just wasted credits. So just make sure to double check that before you hit generate. All of those issues so far were around dialogue. I wasn't too focused on controlling the character's movements through those, but that last punk band scene, especially the singer's final twist, showed a good example of the kind of warping we're used to seeing in AI-generated video. Now, VO2 did have some good movement and physics, so I wanted to see how this stacked up against that. And I recently made a video testing all the most complex video prompts against most of the leading video generators. So I took some of those prompts and just jumped right to the most complicated to see how this would do. I started off with some breakdancing. Now that's got plenty of wonkiness, but compared to other models, it's more coherent wonkiness. The movements are wild, but they follow through in a way that almost feels believable. And then I tried gymnastics, an obvious stress test, and of course it falls apart fast. It was the same story with cartwheels. Anytime a character goes upside down, you get the worst distortions, but also the most fun results. So no, it is not there yet for high complexity motion. I started dialing it back to find the sweet spot. MMA, surprisingly close.
He's coming in with a kickback hard. Point. Watch the counter punch.
Then in this one, I just asked for a clown juggling on a unicycle. It added all sorts of random stuff in the background, but the juggling was better than what most models can manage.
Let's go, push it, lift up.
This one was supposed to be a fitness instructor guiding a class through burpees. Not great, but I mean, closer than I expected actually. Then this interpretive dance prompt actually held together really well. Like, no major warping. Then this yoga class, I asked for a Warrior 1 pose, and I actually had to double check to be sure, but this is a Warrior 2 pose. So not the right pose, but it looks really good. And then I ran a few prompts for someone shooting a basketball. This one consistently fails with every model, but VO got close enough that I think with more rerolls it would have nailed it. That said, I'm not spending $10 in credits just to prove it. And here's just a few more random ones. Got a giraffe on roller skates in New York City, a tiger eating ramen, woman with an octopus dress, a classic Sora prompt of 2 pirate ships battling in a cup of coffee. Then I ran one to test the text generation. It nailed this on the first try. Most models struggle with the word Futurepedia. I also let my 5-year-old come up with some prompts, which, as you'd expect, led to some weird and random ideas. So we had a cow in a rocket ship wearing a hat with a cow face on it. The rocket lands on a planet. The cow gets out and sees an alien. Then the alien punches him. There was a punching theme across most of his prompts, but that was not too bad. I mean, some weird stuff happens in the background, but it did get every part of the prompt in there. Then next we had a blue dragon is looking at a dinosaur in the museum. Then the dragon sees a rattlesnake that is made out of sand. The dragon walks toward the rattlesnake and it bites him. There were a few more, although they did always involve someone or something getting hurt. But the last one did turn out surprisingly well. Using prompts from a kid ended up being a great way to push the model in directions I wouldn't have thought of. So as you can see, VO3 still struggles with complex prompts. It is a step up from VO2 in terms of movement and prompt accuracy, but not a dramatic one. And that said, a lot of this simply wasn't possible just a few months ago, so it's hard to complain. The progress is real, even if it's not perfect yet. That gives a pretty solid overview of what text-to-video is good at and where it still struggles. So now let's take a look at the other features in Flow. You've probably noticed I haven't shown any image-to-video examples yet, even though that's an option. That's because the current implementation is just not as good as the text-to-video, so the results just aren't as impressive. This was also true with VO2. Now this first example of a woman threading a needle is actually a super difficult challenge, so it's not surprising that it didn't do this one well. I'll switch over to one that did work out well. So here's a version starting from a text prompt, and it follows the prompt perfectly. It blows a little puff of fire into the cup, and then she takes a sip. But I just did not like the image it started with. But this is a version I generated in Midjourney, which has far better aesthetics. I've actually been trying to turn this image into this video in multiple video generators over the past year, and this is the first time it's ever looked this good. So I am actually really impressed with that, but that one was kind of an outlier. Most of my other attempts at image to video have not been as good. And there's another issue too. The audio generation often fails or underperforms when you start from an image. Like, I wasted a lot of credits trying to get Shrek to talk, thinking I just needed the right prompt. But no, it just doesn't work well from image-based inputs right now. And that is frustrating because image to video should be where you get more control over your visuals. Like, the image I prompted for was way better looking than what I got. I ran it a few times with different variations on the prompt. And that being said, again, some of the results did turn out well, especially if it didn't involve dialogue and wasn't too complex. But the inconsistency makes it hard to trust for anything you actually need to deliver. Also, I'll mention there are some controls for camera movement. We've seen that before in plenty of models. I typically don't use them and just add it into the prompt myself. But now let's talk about extending clips and adding scenes, which are two of Flow's more interesting features. I actually really like the concept. It works a lot like what we saw in Sora, which I was excited about, but ended up being underwhelmed by in practice. And unfortunately, VO3's implementation had the same problem. To demonstrate this, I'll use this dialogue shot. This is from a scene I created for a different video. I wanted to see how VO3 would do recreating it.
What was it, Mary? What did you see?
It was this blue creature with crazed, bulging eyes.
And it was really good at this first shot, way easier than the method I used before. So I wanted to extend that. To do that, you just come up here and click Add to Scene. Now it opens up this Scenebuilder tool where you can edit and extend and add clips. I wanted to add the rest of the dialogue and continue using these characters. In theory, that's what this is supposed to do. When you click the plus button, there's two options, starting with Extend. Now I'll add what I want to happen, then click Generate. And it says it doesn't work with VO3. So it switches it all the way down to the turbo model. That won't work for this since it won't have the audio. It does do a decent job if you just need some additional frames or a couple seconds onto the end of your clip, but without sound. I'll show that in a minute, but right now I'll try out the Jump To feature. This one does use VO3, so I'll add what the next dialogue should be and submit that. I'll show the first generation I got back. It did extend the clip a little, but then it just cut to a different angle, which I guess was the same characters and scene, but it had nothing to do with what I asked for in my prompt. So I adjusted the prompt, said I wanted to switch to a close-up of the man's face, then again added the line I wanted him to say, and this is what came back. Just a super creepy expression with subtitles of what the words were supposed to be. This has not worked for me at all. If it did, this would be really cool. And when you're in the scene builder, you can shorten clips down and move them around. Would be nice, but another weird thing is the playback in the scene builder doesn't have audio. Seems like that would have been an easy one to keep in. You have to come back out to the main tab to hear the audio. I'll show a couple more examples. This was using that Isaac Newton rapping about gravity prompt.
Yo, let me drop some knowledge. It's gravity, the force that binds. Look, the pull is real. Yo, it's universal. All objects you find. Yo, let me drop some knowledge.
Not what I expected Newton to look like, but the generation was all right. So first I went with Extend, which switches down to that lower model. It does extend the clip decently, but of course, no audio. Then I tried the Jump To version. So yeah, it switched to a completely different character and the words weren't understandable. Here's one more with that giraffe roller skating. So there's no dialogue or anything needed. When I extended that, I asked for it jumping over a person. So it did extend it smoothly, but didn't follow the prompt and has a lot more warping in the bystanders. So again, this all sounds great in theory, but in practice, it really only works well if you just need a few more frames at the end. If you want new scenes, just refine all the details in your prompt and skip this feature entirely for right now. The other feature in here is ingredients to video, where you upload character and setting references, then add a text prompt, and then it will combine them into one scene. I'll demo this using their built-in image generator since I haven't demoed that yet. I'll start with a punk rock rubber duck with a mohawk and a leather jacket. I like this one the most, so I click use this image. Then I can add another ingredient. So I'll prompt for a scene just of some water running in the gutter of an alley. This one looks good. Now I can add my text prompt, and this feature only lets you use VO2 right now. So I'll submit it like this. And here's the result. That did a good job, just what I asked. I did find it less consistent when adding a third ingredient, like this classy duck. You have to reinforce all the details well in your prompt. So it's not bad, it's not great either. Overall, I had a lot of fun experimenting with VO3. I really think this is the right direction, being able to generate dialogue and video together. That's just a huge leap forward. Lip syncing after the fact just is never going to get us there. This kind of native one-pass generation is what the future of AI video needs. But I mean, right now the pricing is steep. The only way to access VO3 is through Google's Ultra plan. And that costs $250 per month, or $125 per month for the first 3 months. That gives you enough credits to generate about 83 videos, and currently it's only available in the US. That is a steep price. I have already burned through my initial credits and had to top up more than once. Even though it does include other features, Project Mariner, Gemini, Notebook LM, and even YouTube Premium. But realistically, most people won't use all of that, and if you're just here for the video generation, it is not worth the price in its current form. Mainly because when you use your own images, the results just are not as good, so that just severely limits you if you want to maintain continuity in characters across scenes. Tools like Kling, Runway, and Wan can get you very close, especially if you're willing to put in some extra effort into the lip syncing, all for much less money. But if you're someone who just loves testing new tools, this is one of the most fun models to experiment with right now.
You know how I know we're made of prompts? Because nothing makes sense anymore. We used to have 7 fingers per hand. I remember it clearly. Now we just have 5 fingers per hand.
I do expect we'll be seeing some big announcements from other video platforms really soon. So yeah, the next wave of AI video is coming, and VO3 is an exciting step in the right direction. Now, if you want to go way more in-depth learning AI, on Futurepedia, we have over 20 comprehensive courses on how to incorporate AI into your life and career to get ahead and save time. One that I'm working on right now that we'll be releasing soon is all about making movies with AI. Not out yet, but will be soon. I'm definitely excited to finish that up. You can get a 7-day free trial using the link in the description, or check out this video that will take you from zero knowledge to building your first AI agent.